All right. Hey YouTube, I'm Lucky, and today is Thursday, so that means it's time to cover the TWAB. This week we have even more big changes being brought to Trials of Osiris. Let's go ahead and dive in and see what Bungie is up to this week. I've read through it briefly already, but I'm going to go through it with you for a video. So let's go ahead and talk about all these big points here. This week at Bungie, we're heading to the lab. Tomorrow we are kicking off our first Trials labs. So basically what this is its own separate playlist within the Crucible directory, and you'll be able to play a variation of Trials. And in this variation of Trials, it will be these experimental weekends will allow us to test our targeted changes of the game mode and collect data and feedback on what works and what should remain an abomination of science. In keeping with our Trials revamp this season, we are sticking to our test and learn mindset, not only with labs, but also with matchmaking rewards and other quality of life improvements. This week, the normal Trials of Osiris playlist is replaced with Trials Labs Capture Zone. This new mode is still elimination with the following changes. 30 seconds after the round starts, a capture zone is enabled. Players can capture the zone to win the round or just eliminate the other team like normal. The capture zone has a waypoint from round start, including a countdown timer, so everyone will know exactly when and where it will be. The capture zone starts in the middle of the map in the first round and changes location each round. The team who just lost gets the advantage spawn location. So this is a really cool change. This is a change I've been proposing to Bungie, and I've made videos talking about this probably for 5 years now. Where basically I'm talking about how there's no objective, so when you spawn in Trials, you don't have to leave your spawn. You can just stay in the spawn with Saitans, or back in D1, just sitting with an icebreaker on the top of the map in Pantheon, for any of the OGs out there that know what I'm talking about. And that's a big problem. There needs to be some sort of objective, something to get you moving, something to get you motivated to leave your spawn. And this allows you to, you're going to have to push into the middle of the map to get the action going, to get the game on, right? We don't want to just sit around the whole time and wait for abilities to regenerate, like grenades and supers and melees or whatever it may be, right? So this is a really good change. And thankfully, this is just an experimentational change. This is just its own separate playlist. So this is not put into Trials just yet. But if people do receive this well, this could potentially go into Trials. And I think this would, even if this isn't received as the absolute perfect playlist or the perfect way the elimination should play out, this is certainly a step in the right direction. Much better than the current elimination, in my opinion. Let me know if you disagree in the comments below. Everyone's allowed to have their own opinions on the topic. Also for this week, Double Trials rank points for every match. If you're feeling the blues of Fabled and Mythic, this is a great week to reset. Are you flawless? We tried something new for Trials this past weekend, something that has been requested in feedback since Trials launched back in Destiny 1. We tested out separating off flawless players and their fire teams from players who hadn't yet gone flawless that week. Before we discuss what to expect this week and in the future, we'd like to talk about the goals we have for matchmaking in Trials of Osiris and look at some key data points for the first 2 weeks. One of the main changes we made with Trials this season was to allow solo and duo players to queue up. This had two main benefits. It allowed players a low barrier of entry and expectation to try the mode out, and more importantly, it increased the population enough that fire teams of mid-skilled players landed more wins than if they only matched against other mid-skill or high-skilled teams. Solo players are key to the entire system working. For example, in our first week, a whopping 54% were full fire teams versus solos/duos. Cut to this week, where only 45% were fire teams versus solos/duos, a pretty sharp drop. To get enough solo players in, we need to offer rewards that are good enough and matchmaking that feels reasonable regardless of skill level. Right now, we have engrams that you can grind for, as well as attractive 7-win rewards, but only if you win. Keep solo players playing. We learned a lot from the first 2 weeks of solo matchmaking. Week 1, solo wins 23% of games. Blowouts 5-0 losses to 38% of games. Most worryingly, the blowout rate for solo players went steadily up over the weekend, but then in the second weekend, the matchmaking changes pushed that rate back down. Week 2, solo wins 36% of games. Blowouts 5-0 losses 29% of games. So after they did the flawless matchmaking pool, they had significantly less blowouts, especially against the solo queue players. So here we go. We got this feels a lot better for solo players, but obviously it had some side effects for fire teams of mid to high skill. Long term, we are looking to keep the solo win rate above 30% and solo fire team blowouts under 33%. Keep game quality high, make sure more matches feel competitive, especially at 7 wins. We talked about blowouts as one way of looking for competitive matches. We also consider 5-1 matches as non-competitive. The sweet spot is really between 5-2 and 5-4. Those matches tend to feel good while playing, even if you end up losing. In week 1, we saw 60% of matches end at either 5-0 or 5-1. In week 2, the number of non-competitive matches dropped down to 52%, a nice improvement, but we would like to see this number drop to 30 to 40% over the long term. Keep matchmaking times low. One of our biggest goals is to keep matchmaking times low while still getting matches with good connections and a competitive outcome. We always keep an eye on matchmaking times, whenever we make serious changes to the matchmaking landscape. In both weeks, average matchmaking times were pretty steady, just under 50 seconds per match. The only reason it was even that high was because players who started off on a terrible streak would end up in a matchmaking pool below the base pool that only looked for other players who had started off losing 10 rounds in a row. It's a very small pool with matchmaking times that lasts over 4 minutes before the system gives up and expands back to the base pool. We're going to be adjusting how the matchmaking help applies so no one gets stuck in the smaller matchmaking pool going forward. All right, very interesting. Other things that worked. We just had over 700,000 players this weekend. Only 50,000 fewer players than week 1. This is higher than expected given a normal drop-off after launch combined, which is accurate, with Distant Shore being a less popular map, which is also accurate. Plus, we had 253,000 players go flawless. That's a lot. Games were 10% longer, mostly due to more competitive games, which is kind of okay. I mean, they lowered the round length down to 1.5 minutes, so even the games being longer now, they're still significantly less longer than they were like 3 weeks ago. Things that didn't work. We saw 34% less matches played overall, and the number of matches post-flawless dropped by 45%. So a lot of people not playing after going flawless one time. We had reports of significant numbers of players resetting 5-0 or 6-0 cards, but we saw around 16,000 total cards that were reset while flawless, but under 7 wins. Given the vast number of games and cards played, 2.7 million cards started this week. This isn't a lot, but it is something we're watching, as it is unhealthy for the mode if it becomes more common. Normally, we see nearly 50% of the players who go flawless doing so with someone else who is already flawless. Last week, it was 56%. This can either be a traditional carry or just playing with friends. That number dropped to 16% this week, which is unacceptably low for friend game content. Yes, this is something that was a huge criticism. A lot of people were saying, like, can't play with my friends now because now I'm in the flawless matchmaking pool and the games aren't any fun anymore. So happy they are at least addressing that. To address this, we are making 2 changes in week 3. So here we go. Here's the big changes. This is what you've been waiting for. We are waiting until the Sunday morning reset at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time to enable the flawless pool. This serves as a middle ground between week 1 and week 2 and as a semi-permanent placement for enabling the flawless pool. As always, we will be looking at both analytics and feedback, so keep telling us what is working and what isn't. We're working on some deeper matchmaking solutions, which we hope let us remove the flawless pool. Look out for more info in mid/late October. We are turning off matchmaking help until you have played at least 2 matches during the weekend. Very interesting. And so they're going to do a split weekend right here. Okay, so at the start of the weekend, you are going to be just like week 1 trials matchmaking, and then in the second half of the weekend, starting on Sunday at reset time, you're going to be like week 2 trials matchmaking. So it'll be flawless based matchmaking. So if you want to go flawless and get a bunch of flawlesses, play from Friday to Saturday, because afterwards it will be significantly harder starting on Sunday and Monday. So I think that's a fair trade-off in the meantime. In addition to the previously announced changes, players will no longer get special ammo replenished when revived, which is a huge change. I know some people were trying to roast me on the last one saying it was a minor change, but this is actually a really big change, okay? This is a big change to the sandbox economy, and the last video I talked about this definitely is not nearly as big as this one, but as a precursor to what's to come. Obviously, we knew we were going to have a big Trials TWAB today. Adding hold functionality to purchase gear from Safe 14 to prevent accidental purchases. Weapons received reputation rank reward track on Safe 14 will now have their Masterwork slots active. Previous weapons obtained won't receive a Masterwork slot. Unfortunately, while we previously announced that we would be removing the matchmaking counter for this week, this change wasn't quite able to make the 3303 patch. Looking further forward, we expect to take another swing at matchmaking to keep some of the solo/lower skill protections from week 2 without strongly negatively affecting flawless players. We're looking at adjustments to rewards for round and match wins on 7-win cards. Other than that, updates on Trials TWAB reports will be less common as we get Trials into a more stable state. Iron Banner is back next week. So after Trials Labs Capture Zone, Trials takes a week off and will return on October 8th. So very cool. So that's when Iron Banner returns. Very exciting to know. I'm actually really happy about that. On the cover, they're doing a big thing here with Threads of Light. So basically they're going to, this is like Destiny fashion stuff. So if you think of yourself as being a bit of fashionista, here we go. We partnered with 3 guards who previously created their own fashion looks to highlight our first cover. Okay, so this is what they're doing. Yes, Muffin Bandit. And we've got Vanguard Vogue, all right? So this is like a new fashion thing they're doing. You can give some screenshots with hashtag Threads of Light. Bungie is really big on this fashion thing. I don't mess around with too much fashion. As you can tell if you've ever seen my characters, they're not the prettiest. But if you want to be a part of this trend and a part of this potentially on this magazine cover, go ahead and tag them on social media with that. primed and ready, so you can get these rewards for this week if you want Sparrow. The Sparrow looks crazy. Ship, Ghost, and this emote. You can link your Bungie.net to your Twitch account, and once you've done that, you'll have the Prime rewards, and you can literally subscribe to your favorite streamer, Lucky10p, on Twitch for free. I'm kidding, of course, but if you want to subscribe, literally the link will be in the description of this, and you can get these free rewards if you already have Twitch Prime. So it's like as easy as can be. Why not? You know what I'm saying? You might as well get this stuff. So that's something that they like to promote regularly. So let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below about this TWAB. A pretty crazy TWAB. Very big changes coming to Trials. Happy to see that Bungie is working to try and make both sides of the community happy. You've got obviously the more casual players, the newer players, and then you've got the experienced players, people who like to play Trials regularly, a little more hardcore. And, you know, we got to try and find a happy medium where everyone feels like Trials represents what they believe it should in Destiny and keeps people playing and keeps the population high. That's the really important part too. Trials needs to be around where it is now. Like Trials needs to be above like 500,000 to have a really nice, healthy player base. In the past, I've said Trials is truly dead if it's under 100,000, and it's gotten there many, many times. Very sad to see that when it does happen. And Trials is so frustrating to play those weekends. But if we could stay above 500,000 for, you know, an entire season, that would be an unbelievable win for Bungie. And this game would begin to start trending upwards, and we would just see a ton more success. Like I mentioned in a previous video, it's the #3 most popular game on Steam at that point in time. So that's pretty exciting stuff. Destiny is going places. Destiny not a dead game, and very exciting to see what changes are going to happen with this TWAB. And I can't wait to play some Trials this weekend. Make sure to enter those raffles if you want to get carried. Crossplay is enabled, so you can play on any platform. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Later.